Himeji Castle loomed before his eyes. He could see now why it was called the White Crane Castle. The stately edifice stood upon huge stone ramparts, like a great and proud bird descending from the heavens. Takuan preceded him across the wide arching bridge spanning the outer moat. A row of guards stood at attention before the riveted iron gate. The sunlight glancing off their drawn lances made Takuzo for a split second hesitate to pass. Takuan, without even turning, sensed this, and with a slightly impatient gesture, urged him to keep moving. Passing under the gate turret, they approached the second gate, where the soldiers looked even more tense and alert, ready to fight at a moment's notice. This was the castle of a daimyo. It would take its inhabitants a while to relax and accept the fact that the country was successfully unified. Like many other castles of the time, it was far from accustomed to the luxury of peace. Takuan summoned the captain of the guard. "I brought him," he announced, handing Takuzo over. The monk advised the man to take good care of him as previously instructed, but added, "Be careful. He's a lion cub with fangs. He's far from tamed. If you tease him, he bites." Takuan went through the second gate to the central compound, where the daimyo's mansion was located. Apparently, he knew the way well. He needed neither a guide nor directions. He barely raised his head as he walked, and not a soul interrupted his progress. Heeding Takuan's instructions, the captain didn't lay a finger on his charge. He simply asked Takuzo to follow him. Takuzo silently obeyed. They soon arrived at a bathhouse, and the captain instructed him to go in and get cleaned up. At this point, Takuzo's spine stiffened, for he remembered all too well his last bath at Osugi's house, and the trap from which he had narrowly escaped. He folded his arms and tried to think, stalling for a time and inspecting the surroundings. It was all so peaceful, an island of tranquility, where a daimyo could, when not plotting strategies, enjoy the luxuries of life. Soon a servant bearing a black cotton kimono and hakama arrived, bowing and saying politely, "I'll lay these here. You can put them on when you come out." Takuzo nearly wept. The outfit included not only a folding fan and some tissue paper, but a pair of long and short samurai swords. Everything was simple and inexpensive, but nothing was lacking. He was being treated like a human being again, and wanted to lift the clean cotton to his face, rub it to his cheeks, and inhale its freshness. He turned and entered the bathhouse. All right. So I am reading that passage there because the symbology in this past portion of that chapter, the birth of Musashi, which is chapter 8, in Japan, the bow is an important thing. It's a gesture of respect, and the deeper you bow, the more meaning it has. And here we have the servants, right? They come in and they bow. And then later on, and I'll read this passage real quick here, Takuan finds Akidia, the daimyo, and is speaking to him. So here we go. "Is that him?" he asked Takuan, pointing his folding fan. "Yes, that's him," answered the monk with a deferential bow. "He has a good face. You did well to save him. He owes his life to you, your lordship, not me." "That's not so, Takuan, and you know it. If I had a handful of men like you under my command, no doubt a lot of useful people would be saved, and the world would be the better of it." The daimyo sighed. "My trouble is that all my men think their sole duty is to tie people up and behead them." An hour later, Takuzo was seated in the garden beyond the veranda, his head bowed and his hands resting flat on his knees in an attitude of respectful attentiveness. So the monk bows in respect, right? In a calculated bow, right? And the servant that brings the clothes, she bows as well in a respectful manner, even to the prisoner. And then once Takuzo gets out after he serves his time, his 3 years there, and he's talking to Teramasu, he is given the opportunity to start again. they give him his name, and that's when he bows again. And here I'll find that passage and I'll read it real quick. Give me a second. Takuan bowed. Let me thank you for your kindness to the boy. Takuan, Akidia laughed. This is the first time you've ever thanked me twice for anything. I suppose that's true, Takuan grinned. It won't happen again. It's all right for him to roam about while he's still young, said Teramasa. But now that he's going out on his own, reborn as you put it, he should have a new name. Let it be Miyamoto, so that he never forgets his birthplace. From now on, Takuzo, call yourself Miyamoto. Takuzo's hands went automatically to the floor, palms down. He bowed deep and long. Yes, sir, I will do that. So, the deeper the bow, the more respect you're showing. So here, Takuzo he bows as far as he can, right? Palms to the ground, and he bows deep and long. He holds that pose for quite some time. You see it a lot. The quick bows, fast and barely hinging at the hip, those are just courtesy. So that's one thing that happens here, and it's a sign of the symbolism of the respect of how he's respecting not only the monk, and you can see that the daimyo respects the monk and what he does, how compassionate he has been. Although he's been harsh to Takuzo, he has been pretty good as far as teaching. Now, the other symbology within this chapter is the 3. So 3 days in resurrection that most people know, 3 days, and then boom, the resurrection of Christ. The same deal here. Although it's not 3 days, Takuzo spends 3 years in his tomb, reflecting, preparing for his resurrection. As he comes out the other side, he's now ready. The third symbolism here that stands out is the sun. The sun, one, it's hot, deadly. It's the thing that'll kill you. It's in the when you're crucified. If you think about the Roman soldiers, and when they did the crucifixions, they didn't crucify you under a tree in the shade. You were out in the baking sun. You were out there. You're just exposed to everything, right? The sun is lethal. And here the sun, as Takuzo's leaving the castle, and so is Takuan. Takuan heads to the west, right? And that is symbolic in which his mission is over with Takuzo, with Musashi. He's done. His sun has set. He's at the end of his road with Takuzo, with Musashi. And Musashi heads to the east, not looking back, not wanting to look back, because he's got a resolute step he's got to take. He's got to move forward, right? And he heads to the east where the sun rises. He's got a rising star. He's new. Even though he wants to see his sister and all that, he says, no, I've got to make these moves. Can't look back. I've got to go forward. I got to build myself up before I can look back. And that's what he does. So the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Symbolic right there. Takuan's done. He's going west. Musashi, fresh resurrection, fresh new start, headed to the east. He's rising. Okay, there's more to this chapter, and I'll cover it. As we know, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, and that's what happens to Musashi, right? He's rising, but then there's the past that keeps coming to grab him. So, well, I'll cover that next, all right? Be well.